Hey Dan, man. So none of my students showed up today, so you're my student today. I want to make a quick video kind of outlining the harmony stuff we were talking about. So from this point, in this video I'm going to talk about kind of the extension harmony that I was talking about. Essentially for all the stuff that we've been talking about, you need to start thinking of harmony as triads or sevenths stacked on top of bass notes. And the first principle of that is inversion. So if I invert GB, it's just one interval. If I invert it, I can invert it up to BG. So I've just flipped it. So I move the G up to the B and the B up to the G. Or I can go back down. B, G. Same with the triad. If I have a G major triad, take the G up to the B, B up to the D, D up to the G, and go up again. You can also invert down, right? You can also invert major 7 chords. So if we have a C major 7, C goes up to E, B goes up to C, E goes up to G, and G goes up to B. So you get, so first inversion, second inversion, E goes to G, G goes to B, no. So E goes to G, B goes to C, C goes to E, and G goes to B. So you end up with, and starting from here, you have another inversion right here, B, E, G, C. You can also invert 7 chords, C7, invert minor chords, you can invert half diminished chords or minor 7 flat 5 chords, oh yeah, that actually is an important one. Then obviously there's a fully diminished. So, again, think about this throwing triads and sevenths on top of bass notes. If I want, say, an E major 7, 9 chord, it's E, G sharp, B, D sharp, F sharp. So I can take a G sharp minor 7 chord, G sharp, D sharp, F sharp, B, throw an E on the bass. Lower the D down to a D natural, and you get the 7 chord. Lower the G down, you get the minor chord. And if you lower the B flat down, you get a minor E minor 7 half diminished or minor 7 flat 5 with a flat 9. Lower that F down as well. I've always wanted a minor 7 flat 5 flat 9, so that's this voicing. It's E, G, D, F, B flat. So that's kind of an example. If you look at this, so even though I'm using this open note here to make it easier for me, I'm considering my root here, so it's kind of like if I were doing a 2-5 into this D. So this would be my 7 chord, or my minor 7 chord. Let's say I'm doing it thinking in terms of the root on the, so that was with the root on the E string. Let's say if it were on the A string. So again, kind of doing the same voicing. So what I typically use is this. So again, G sharp minor 7, But now I've taken it and I've inverted it down, so so now we have one of the inversions where you have D sharp, which is the minor 7 of E, G sharp, which is the minor third of, or is the major third. Sorry, D sharp's the major third of, major seventh of E. G sharp is the major third of E. B is the fifth of E. F sharp's the ninth. And then if I want to get that E7 chord, E, D, G sharp, B, F sharp. And then if I want to get the minor, and then the minor 7, flat 5, flat 9, and the fully diminished. And you can do different things, so I go like, so you can kind of adjust it how you want to. So again, if we were doing, now the thing is combining these different patterns. So let's say, now, one more really important thing. So notice how this is just an inversion of this G sharp half diminished chord. Well, what's interesting is, and it has to do kind of with tritone substitutions, but essentially, if this G sharp half diminished is a tritone away, this G sharp half diminished is what's giving me my E7. A tritone away from G sharp is D, so you're thinking tritone substitution. For E, tritone substitution is B flat. So essentially, if I wanted to make like an altered chord, meaning like a minor set, like an E7 sharp 5 flat 9 chord, for example, all I have to do is tritone substitute my diminished chords. Instead of using G sharp diminished, or its inversion, I use D diminished and one of its inversions. So up here would be the D half diminished chord, or minor 7 flat 5 in an inversion. So you have G sharp, D, or sorry, A flat, D, F, C. And then here you have D, A flat, C, F. So to hear some of these in context, and notice again that this would be the full 9 chord for a tritone away from E, B flat. And these voicings, so one more thing to note, where a lot of these voicings came from was, I usually don't use this G sharp, fully minor 7. I usually don't use that voicing. It started with me analyzing the Quartel harmonies from this jazz theory book I had. So descending in fourths, E, B, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp. And then I said, well, when I was accompanying singers, or accompanying myself, or doing solo, or especially if I'm with a jazz combo, I found this high note got in the way of the soloist, the melody. It also made it harder to do, and usually the note on top here was, so if I'm doing the Quartel harmony here, if I'm doing it down here, with the, starting on the B, B, F sharp, D sharp, G sharp, E, the fifth B and the E really aren't necessary, and they just kind of get in the way, so it actually makes it a lot easier and sound a lot nicer in different arrangements to simply leave those out. And so I end up, and I also found too that within these 4 strings, I get a much better sound for accompanying, especially in a jazz combo. So these are kind of the voicings I use. So I usually don't use this minor when I usually use this quartal harmony to resolve into my major chord. And another thing too, especially if I'm with a jazz band, but in general, because I learned this from piano composers and piano playing, which is where all this stuff is from, I typically don't go any higher than C here with my highest note, and any lower than D with my lowest note here. And that's actually being conservative using this D, to be honest with you. It gets to sound pretty muddy pretty quick. So let's say I want to go into this D major chord here, and I'm doing a 2-5-1 into it. And I'll even do like a 3-6-2-5-1. So one more voicing that I use quite a bit. I also use this one. So this is an A7 for an A7 chord. G, C sharp, F sharp, B. So instead of doing an inversion of one of the half diminished chords, G, so what would that be? It'd be, instead of using a C sharp half diminished inversion, which is this, G, C sharp, E, B, I raise this E here up to F sharp, and I get a chordal harmony going down, B, F sharp, C sharp, G, and that goes for the A. So it's and you can do the same thing, get an altered chord, an E, you can move it up a half step and do G sharp, D, G, C, and get a E sharp 5 flat 9 chord. Sharp 5, sharp 9. I don't even know, I'm losing track here. So let's start with doing a blues with some of these. So here's using my half diminished. I can also use, so if I wanted to make it altered, actually that's not a really good example, let's skip that one, it doesn't really work in the blues. But, so again I was using all my half diminished chords, and I'm kind of doing it Lenny Brew style too, because Lenny Brew will just use the 3rd and the 7th. And just play a melody on top of that. Well, that principle is also working here. 3rd and 7th. Another thing, so that's kind of using those in the context of a blues. One other thing to keep in mind too is not only can you use this voicing of say the G sharp minor 7 chord, you can also use this voicing too. So this is a C sharp, so it's going from G sharp half diminished to C sharp half diminished, but in the 2nd inversion. Shoot. I can't even remember that particular inversion, but So that's that kind of progression in the context of a blues. Now let's say we're doing a standard tune in the context of like 3-6-2-5-1. So again, using my chordal harmony. So if I'm in D major, D major, so B altered 7, E minor, F sharp altered chord, E altered chord, E minor, so one thing I got to point out, altered is just kind of a way of saying, with a 7 chord, just adding as many different things as you want. Sharp 5s, flat 9s, sharp 13, flat 13, all that stuff. It's just kind of a generic way of saying, hey, I'm not just doing, but I'm going. So I'm adding different notes beyond just the standard ones to the harmony. So let's do this again. In D, we got C sharp, F sharp, B, E. C sharp, F sharp, B, E, and then D sharp, A, C, G, and then either D, G sharp, B, F sharp, or G, either D, G sharp, B, F sharp, or if you want to make it E dominant, or you can do D, G, B, F sharp to make it minor. E, A sharp, D, G, F sharp, which is F sharp 7, sharp 5, flat 9. D sharp, A, C, G, B, flat 9, sharp 5, and then D, G, B, F sharp, minor 9 chord for E, and then A7, C sharp, G, B, E. And back to that C sharp, F sharp, B, E chordal harmony for D. So let's do the whole thing. Now let's say you wanted to do this in the key of A major. So same voicing here, instead of doing same voicing, C sharp, F sharp, B, E. And then for your, so we're going to do a 1-6-2-5, 3-6-2-5, 1. So this voicing, and then F sharp, altered chord, E, A sharp, D, G, flat 9, sharp 5. And then using that D major chord here, D, A, C sharp, F sharp for the B minor. And then you can do a couple things here. You can either use that half diminished inversion. So we got D, G sharp, B, F sharp. Sorry. And go into that A. Or you could use the other chordal voicing that I use, which is D, G sharp, C sharp, the 13, and then F sharp. So I'll do kind of the whole thing for you. So in the key of A, F sharp, B minor, using the half diminished voicing for E, then C sharp, using a half diminished inversion, F sharp, using the half diminished chord to alter it, B minor, using the chordal harmony, da 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 ba da 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 ba da 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 ba da ba da da ba da 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 da. One other aspect of this that's kind of cool. So they call this in this book by Frank Mantooth, which is where a lot of I got this, either the actual harmonies or at least my ideas for them, was in this book. And what he has is this sort of chordal harmony concept. So if I'm C, G, D, A, E. This chordal harmony concept is pretty cool because it gets you a lot of different notes added to your chords. And you can also move it to a lot of different places. D, A, E, F sharp. So I have sharp 4, C major chord. Or I can go to my, what's another good example? From the G. So down here, G, D, A, E, B. Again, another C major 6-9, C major 6-9, C major 6-9, C major 6-9, sharp 4. You know, there's all sorts of cool stuff. So, and not only that, but they correspond to different roots. So here's your C on the D string, C on the E string, C on the A string. What's neat about this voicing is that you have now you can take it and have it be a C6-9. You can have it be an F6-9, or you can have it be a B flat 6-9 sharp 4, or you can have it be an A minor. Now, one of the key elements of this, all this stuff that makes it so slick, is if you take out. So this is kind of where my thought process was. So I got all these different harmonies based on this original idea. Take out this top note, then change it if you need it 7 or minor 7 flat 5 or whatever, right? So the next thing was how it's really convenient. So if you watch this, look at how little I have to shift doing inside these 4 strings. And this is great. It sounds phenomenal with the jazz combo. It's going to make your guitar sound blend really well with the piano player, with all the other instruments. Everybody's going to love it. You're going to get compliments on your voice leading all the time, which I do. It's weird. I didn't honestly expect that. It was something that took me by surprise. But as soon as I added this to my playing, it's like people from all sorts of different instruments and all sorts of different contexts were really impressed with the voice leading. And I had never really thought of that as a big part of my playing before. But watch this. So C major, A7 sharp 5 flat 9, E minor or D minor, G13. Look at how little I have to shift. And if you, depending on what the bass player is doing, you can even C, And again, remember, I can either use this 13 for the G, F, B, E, A, or I can use that half diminished chord inversion. So I'm using an inversion of my B for my G, so F, B, D, A. Or I can use the F half diminished, which is a tritone away from the B, and I end up with F, B, E flat, A flat. So let me try to use all of them. Quartal harmony for the G. G diminished, half diminished. F major for the D minor. F half diminished for an altered G chord. That half diminished inversion. My chordal harmony. And it all kind of started with this, this miracle voicing is what he calls it. So that's kind of where it came from. All right, I'm going to send another video, and it's going to have to do with some of those slash chords we were talking about.